Hello, everyone, and welcome in on this long weekend Monday with some day baseball, some NBA playoffs, some NHL playoffs, and a lot of sports to get into. It is Memorial Day, so we are taking a slightly serious tone as we open the show, as we thank every veteran who has served, and we certainly remember every veteran who is forever a hero, laying down their life so we can live in this great country, live the lives that we have with the freedom that we have, and we think of you today and always. We are so grateful for your sacrifice. I want to make sure that we start out on that note because that's what is most important. If you are a veteran, shout out. I'd love to hear from you throughout the show. I know a lot of you guys watch the show, not just when you're back stateside, but around the world. Love you guys, appreciate you guys, and I want to make sure you guys know that we're here for you, not just for the days that are designated for you throughout the year, but year-round, however we can be of assistance in any way, because we know that you're giving your time, your effort, and your lives to our well-being. We open the show that way. Welcome everybody to the Butt Fumble Sports Show. So grateful to have you with us on this day. We're going to talk a lot of sports as always. We're going to rant about what's going on in the sports world. I'm curious for all of you guys out there. I put this out on my Instagram story. Is there an argument for Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic being the greatest backcourt of all time? I am still not quite a believer, but maybe some of you out there can convince me over the course of the show. We're going to be doing our sports research, as always, our sports betting research and our fantasy sports research throughout the show using Outlier, Killersports.com, BallparkPal.com, whatever resources we can get our hands on to make sure we're giving you the best research, the most well-informed picks that we possibly can. As always, we appreciate you guys joining across all of our platforms: Instagram Live, TikTok Live, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Butt Fumble Sports is live almost every day, talking about sports and giving out sports betting research. Hope you guys are doing well. Excited to get into everything today. Honor of the first question is kind of just going to go based on the game itself. I know a lot of you are asking about the Blue Jays, but actually I want to start off with this one-day baseball game between the Orioles and the Red Sox, so forgive me. I was going to do honor of the first question, but I just kind of want to research this game to get us started. Red Sox, Orioles, first pitch is at 1:05. It's the first baseball game of the day. The other games start at 2 or later. So first game of the sports day. We're talking Red Sox, we're talking Orioles. Red Sox coming off a win, Orioles coming off a win. Let's see how those two teams are going to fare today. Really quick, I'm just going to do my research on this because I had some fun with it yesterday and it proved to be right about the Red Sox. Red Sox are undefeated on Sunday so far this season. Funny enough, on a Monday, 2-2, the under slightly better. I'm going to jump it on over, do it on this side as well. The Orioles on Monday so far this year, 4-2 straight up, 4-2 on the run line, 3-3 overall. Guys, by the way, I want you to know we're going to go through a lot of different research. Some of it's going to matter to you, some of it won't. But part of the reason I'm even pulling some of this up is because maybe one of you guys out there cares about it, and for that reason, we'll study it, we'll bring it up. But I don't want you guys to think that these are exactly the things I care about every day, but certainly something we can have a lot of fun with. Let's go into some of the other trends around this game. We're going to first look at how these two teams have done coming off a win and on 0 days of rest on a first game of a series. That's actually something I do care about. When the Red Sox are in the first game of a series and rest for them is 0, so coming right off of it, they're 3-6 straight up, 3-6 on the run line, and they are just 1-4 both straight up and on the run line in their last 5 games. Under's been slightly better at 5-4. That doesn't stand out nearly as much. Flip it around, I'm kind of curious about how the Orioles have done in this situation as well. Orioles, first game of a series, 0 days of rest. They're 5-3 straight up, 5-3 on the run line. How has it been when they're coming off a win in that scenario? Orioles 3-2 for the Red Sox coming off a win in that scenario. 2-2. Nothing really stands out. Again, we're just kind of feeling in the dark right now to start to see if there are any trends that start to develop. Again, if you're new to the show, we're looking for a constellation of variables. Things that point us in the right direction. One thing I did know, because I did my research on this last night while I was watching that NBA game, Cole Irvin, starting pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles today. He's been a very good bet if you're looking for just one certain variable, specifically starting pitcher. 6-1 straight up so far this season, 6-1 on the run line. The under is 5-2. He's performed very, very well in his starts, and I actually backdated this. I looked at Cole Irvin as a starter, as a home favorite over the course of his career, 16-9 overall. Maybe that doesn't matter, but specifically in his time with the Orioles, which only dates back to last year. So when he's been pitching for the Orioles in his career at home as a favorite, he's 7-1 straight up, 5-3 on the run line. So just a fantastic history for this starting pitcher. On the other side, Cooper Criswell, I think he's 2-0, but the whole point is he has a limited sample size. I'm very big on this stat right here. I love seeing the opportunity to take the Orioles with the starting pitching advantage. They're minus 160. I do want to go into a few more trends before we move on. I'm going to look at the Red Sox. So far this season, when they've played against the AL East, they're 4-6 straight up, 3-7 on the run line. Important to note, they were swept by the Orioles earlier this year. They did lose to Cole Irvin in one of those starts. It was a 7-5 loss as well. I'm curious, when they've played their division coming off of a win, 3-3 straight up, the under 4-1-1. How's the weather across baseball? We're going to jump on over to ballparkpal.com. I'm going to look at it on the side because they're not a sponsor of the show. Weather is favoring as of 11:10. Weather is favoring the ball to fly a little bit in Baltimore, blowing out to center and left center with high pressure. So that should mean the ball should have some lift to it. Expect home runs. Expect runs overall. So the trends are favoring the under, but right now I just can't back the under as much because the weather, day baseball, you might see a little bit of extra oomph depending on how the temperatures get there in Baltimore. But one thing I do like for this game is the Orioles on the money line. Right now, 93% of the money being bet on this game is on the Orioles, which is actually outpacing the tickets. We like to see that. The Orioles, when it comes to the spread, is about matching the ticket market, so I'm not going to touch that. Interestingly enough, under is actually, the money's a little bit favoring the under, but just slightly. Tells me that there are a few people who are noticing the trends that I saw. But the first pick we're going to put up on the board for today's game, Orioles on the money line, everybody. Orioles on the money line. First pick that we're going with that makes our big board. And if you want to know what big board I'm talking about, I'm over on YouTube. I'm not only on Instagram Live and TikTok Live, where you're just seeing my face because the algorithm prefers a human face to a computer screen. If you want to watch the research that we're doing live on the show, as well as my picks all up on the board during the show, you can find it on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. But if you want to wait until after the show and just see all the picks that I give out, DM me on Instagram. You can find every bet that I make every day. I give away my picks for free. If you're new to Butt Fumble Sports, my attitude is you're a sports fan just like me. You love talking sports. You love betting on sports. You love fantasy sports. So why should I charge you for picks? I'm going to do this research anyways because I just love doing it. I love sports. I love everything about it. So if I can just help you guys be more well-informed, more educated, maybe have a little bit of fun as you're sports betting, but I'm not going to tell you that I get everything right. I'm not going to tell you that I'm a betting expert. I really am just kind of a sports data nerd. I love quantitative analysis in every way I can. So I want to make sure you guys know, are you talking to someone who used to work in the sports books? No, my background's actually in sports media. I worked at ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports. I was a producer for Jim Rome. So I actually just love sports and sports content. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm hitting 80% of my bets. Not the case. I hit about all of my bets at about a 67% clip. I hit my parlays included in those bets at about a 55% clip. 54 now because the NBA playoffs has not been kind to me. I have to admit, I thought these series were not going to go 3-0. I thought it was going to be a little bit more competitive in the Western Conference, and that kind of backfired. Jennifer, glad to see you live on TikTok. Great to see you. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you're doing well. Orioles on the money line is the first pick that we gave out today. Someone was asking about run in the first inning. I actually think that's a pretty good play. According to ballparkpal.com, which is a website that runs thousands of simulations every day about each game based on the weather, the matchups, everything, they think that yes to a run in the first inning has a 51.8% chance of hitting, which actually, given the odds, isn't terrible with a minus 107 return, so something you may want to consider. A random fantasy football question, because I always love those. Top 3 quarterbacks to draft for next season. What I would always recommend for fantasy football moving on is now that we've entered the era where quarterbacks can get rushing touchdowns, you want to identify those that have that opportunity and put additional value onto them. CJ Stroud may pass for a ton of yards this year. Patrick Mahomes may pass for a ton of yards, but they won't contribute in the red zone in rushing touchdowns at the same rate. And depending on your league, rushing touchdowns may be valued more than passing touchdowns. So if I can get someone still like Jalen Hurts, like Josh Allen, like some of the more mobile quarterbacks in the league, that may be more advantageous when it comes to fantasy. I still think that Patrick Mahomes, I still think CJ Stroud are probably top 5, top 4, but I do want to stress that I think Josh Allen bizarrely remains maybe 1 or 2 because what he can do with his legs. But we're going to talk more fantasy football as we get closer to the season because obviously a lot of pieces are still moving. What's my win-loss ratio? I mentioned it a moment ago. If you include every bet that I make, regardless of what type it is, about a 54-55% clip. If you take out the parlays, because I do a lot of parlays for our sponsors and other things because they encourage that, I hit around a 67% clip, so it's around that. Appreciate you guys being with us. We've put Orioles on the money line up on the board. Next game we're going to talk about is up to you. A number of you guys were asking about the Blue Jays a little bit earlier, but I'm going to let you guys figure it out right now. What do you guys want to talk about? You want some NBA? You want some NHL? Which ones do you guys care about? Ricky, great to see you watching the show. Chase Green, appreciate your kind words. Hope you're having a great day. Philip Monk, awesome to have you with us. Edgar, as always. Angel, John, it is awesome to be with you guys every single day talking sports. A number of you guys have questions. Let's get to them. We've got Elliot's asking MLB. Give me a game specifically. Someone's asking NBA, so we'll go NBA because we all know that that's just that one NBA game. Celtics, Pacers. Let's do a little bit of work on this game because there's actually a lot that we can touch on for this one. We have player prop bets as well. I'll circle back to player prop bets in that Red Sox and Orioles game in just a bit when we do our MLB player prop bets all together. But let's just get this NBA game out of the way. We've covered the 1 o'clock game in terms of Orioles on the money line, but let's talk some NBA. We'll talk the game first, then we'll talk player prop bets, then we'll get back to Major League Baseball. And don't worry, John, don't worry, we're going to get to hockey. Don't worry, we'll get to your hockey game because it's going to be a good one today. That said, let's get into this from a Celtics point of view. When the Celtics have won 3 games in a row this year, and they're an away favorite, it's happened 20 times this year. They're 13-7 straight up. They are 7-11-2 against the spread, so they have a losing record against the spread in that scenario. Over is 13-7. Overs hit in 5 straight games under this scenario. As many of you guys know, the over has been a very heavy play, a very successful play during the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. I believe it remains undefeated unless last night I missed the total. But that said, over's getting a little bit of love based on this first trend. Obviously, Celtics on the money line. But we're going to make sure we're focused on whether the Pacers can cover this spread tonight. Spread for this game right now, 7.5. I think that's obviously going to move depending on if Tyrese Halliburton plays or doesn't play, even if it's by a point or two. When the Pacers are coming off 3 straight losses and they're a home dog, it has only happened 2 times this year. They're 1-1. The over is hit both times. Once again, there's some momentum around the over. Total for this game is set at 222.5. So kind of interesting there. I actually want to pivot to that for just a second. If I look at, we'll make this our player prop bet tab. If I look at the total, the market for the total is favoring the over with 96% of the money, which is actually outpacing 94% of the tickets. Amazing that that's the case. Thanks so much, Elliot. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Pacers, when they've had a total, let's say that it's been less than 225. Pacers with a total less than 225, 10-7 straight up, 11-6 against the spread, 12-5 favoring the over. So again, over's been a good play when the total's been this low. I've been kind of narrowing in on the totals, and it's been a successful play. When the total's between 220 and 225, Pacers so far this season, 5-3 straight up, 5-3 against the spread. Over is 6-2. So a lot of value there in terms of the over is in everything that we're seeing. By the way, the total scoring average that we're seeing in those 8 games is around 231. So 222.5 feels like a really great spot. If we circle back around, how have the Celtics done as a road favorite after 3 straight wins? The average scoring has been around 229. So again, good for that over. And finally, the average scoring in those 2 games for the Pacers after 3 losses as a home dog, those were wild. Those are 266 points. A ton of points there. Probably not going to be the case. But I am kind of curious, when the Pacers are coming off an over, coming off a loss, they're facing a team with an average winning percentage greater than 500, and they're at home. How have they done so far this year? 3-1 straight up, 3-1 against the spread. Kind of some just interesting notes. How have they done performing under certain circumstances? Obviously, a lot of people are going to be favoring the Celtics on the money line for good reason, but I think that 7.5 is set at the right mark. Everything we're seeing right now kind of reflects a 7-score difference, so I really don't like the market in terms of the spread. I feel like it's a bit of a trap. I'm probably not going to bet it. I got to admit, I avoid bets that I don't feel good about, and this one feels like a creaky floor. I do think the Celtics money line is probably going to hit. It doesn't have value. It's a minus 275 at best. So one of the things I want to make sure you guys focus on is don't just bet what you think's going to happen if there isn't a good return on investment on its own. You want to make it a 2-leg parlay or a 3-leg parlay, that's fine. And that's why we're going to shift to player prop bets for this game. I right now like the Celtics on the money line. I do like the over. That's probably what I'll take on this game, is I'll take Celtics and I'll take Pacers, and I'm going to take the over. You guys know I like to move the line a little bit. I'm going to make this a 2-leg parlay. I'll share it with you guys. Celtics on the money line. Keep in mind, Celtics undefeated on the road so far in the postseason, so they've been very comfortable as road dogs. Put it into a 2-leg parlay. Celtics, Pacers over. We'll probably take that at over probably 219.5. Just thinking it gets to 220. I still think it probably gets above the 225.5. So if you want to take that, don't be sheepish about it. I think you'll probably be good. But Celtics Pacers over 219.5. Parlaying that with Celtics on the money line, I like it. Joshua Lynch, if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't play, I think Celtics on minus 7.5 could work out. I just have a tough time believing that the Pacers can produce enough offense. We saw what the Celtics defense is capable of when they actually give effort. They gave it in the first and the fourth quarter. Were really lax about it in the third and the second and the third quarter. I think the Celtics are going to have some urgency about this game because I actually think the Celtics enjoy being in the hostile environment of the road. I think they find it more comfortable than being at home, where I think there's a lot of tension, a lot of pressure. I actually think they play a little bit more free. So a lot of things about it that I like. By the way, Drunken Monkey, Blue Jays Tigers, yeah, that blew me up to start the day. That sucked. That was just like, that was a football score. I was so angry. Brandon, do I like Orioles minus 1.5? Not really. I like Orioles on the money line, and the fact I can get it at a minus 160 is a pretty good spot for the fact that the Orioles are a far superior team, and they have the better starting pitcher on the mound with a lot of trends to back it. So actually, I like the Orioles just straight up minus 160. I'm obviously going to put it into some parlays and round robins, but I don't think it's a bad play overall. Tanner, people are asking about, let's finish our focus on the player prop bets for this NBA game, and then we'll get back to MLB. So we're going to focus on Celtics and Pacers because we're looking for some parlay plays to go along with Celtics on the money line or that over. And if we like the over, we're looking at points. And if we're looking at points, we're obviously going to start with Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has been en fuego, probably the greatest performance, frankly, I think, of his NBA career. I know he's had bigger point totals in the playoffs, but I thought last game was his greatest performance because he was completely under control. He was the one who actually dictated the pace of the game towards the end. And frankly, he was the centerpiece of that. He truly was the superstar that got them the win. I know his teammates came through, but it wasn't just about his scoring. It was about his discipline and his mental toughness. His point total tonight is set at 29.5. This opened at 30.5. It's since worked its way down to 29.5 and has kind of bounced between those two marks. That's really interesting to note because so far, 9 of his last 10 games against the Pacers, he has hit 30 points. So against the Pacers, incredibly consistent. Funny enough, he's actually, again, better on the road. He is 4 for 4 in terms of hitting 30 points when it is in Indianapolis. That dates back to February of 2023, so he's been very consistent when it comes to his scoring in Indianapolis. But let's actually look at this from, I'm kind of curious about this, over his last 10 games, specifically on the road. 3 straight games he's hit it. He had a slump there, though, against the Miami Heat, and then kind of end of season, but the end of season is a bad barometer. What I'm actually going to focus on is how did he do on the road. I want to see how he has done so far without Kristaps Porzingis, because that's always made the biggest impact, and specifically when the Celtics are on 1 day of rest. So far this season, without Kristaps Porzingis on the road, 6 out of his last 10 games, he's hit the 30-point mark. Twice he hit 29. That actually tells me that the 29.5 really is the pivot point. Well done by the sports books here. But we want to move this down and put it into that 2-leg parlay. So I would take over 26.5 or over 25.5, put it into a 2-leg parlay with Celtics on the money line. That's what I would take for this one. I am going to put that one up on the board so you guys can play along with me. That's Jason Tatum over, I'd say 27.5 points, and I'd put it into a 2-leg parlay, 3-leg parlay. If you guys want to see the research I'm doing or see the big board, go over to YouTube. You can watch the show there live and see all the research that I'm doing right here in front of you, so that way you can see it all. Instagram, TikTok, they prefer to see the human face. That's why I don't just show my screen. We've done that in the past. Algorithm doesn't like it, so we tend to just talk through the research during the show. Now, I want to bring this up because it's a bit of research we can do involving using killersports.com that's pretty cool. When Jason Tatum this year, Jason Tatum has scored, let's say, at least 27 points, because that's what I'm betting on tonight. Oops. When he's had at least 27 points is greater than 27. How have the Celtics done in those games? Celtics are 33-7 straight up, 21-16-3 against the spread, 25-15 on the over. I'm just thinking about if I like a certain point total, what's been the results? How about when they're on the road in that scenario? When Jason Tatum's had at least 27 points and the Celtics have been on the road, Celtics have gone 14-6. Interestingly enough, though, against the spread, the Celtics are 9-8-3 when Jason Tatum scores at least 27 points and the Celtics are on the road so far this year. Over's been a better play at 13-7. I'm not saying that's going to dictate our betting, but now that we kind of we have an understanding of what we want to bet on. We already talked about Celtics on the money line. We already talked about the over. We also want to look at how is the team done when a certain player prop bet that we're thinking is going to go through. How is the team fared? Is there any correlation? I have a buddy of mine, a brilliant guy. He does trading for a living, and one of the things he talked about is correlations in a conversation we had in a recent meeting. And I thought he was so right, which is when a player's performed a certain way in the past game, when he's performed a certain way, and that's what we expect. Think about like an Anthony Edwards, or better yet, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving last night going for over 25 points. How many times this year have the Mavericks lost when Kyrie reaches 25 points, when Luka and Kyrie reach 25 points? I know they both reach 30. You would think they're almost undefeated in that scenario. So that's an example of maybe a way we can kind of chip into even more data, more knowledge, more, I don't want to say certainty, but greater confidence level behind some of our bets. I want to move on to a few more picks that I researched earlier in the day. We'll get to some of your questions. B-Man, I don't like it at 29.5. I feel like that's a very, very tight market there. I actually think the sports books are doing well to set it there. If I had to go anywhere, I'd lean towards the over. But personally, I bought it down. I'm taking it over 27.5, and I'm pairing that with Celtics on the money line, 2-leg parlay. Justin, let's do that. Let's just open it up to some questions right now, and then we'll get back to baseball in a little bit. Drew Holiday over rebounds and assists. I like that one. Let's check that one out. Right now it's set at 10.5. You're curious about the over side. Right now it's been a very good trend. 7 of the last 10 games, specifically on the road, it's hitting 4 straight games, 5 of the last 6, 7 of the last 10. When they've played on just 1 day of rest, it's actually hit in 6 of the last 7 games. Very consistent trend. How is it done against the Indiana Pacers? It's hit in 6 of the last 8 games against the Pacers. This opened at 10.5. It actually went as high as 11.5 in the market and then came back down to 10.5. What is it in terms of the matchup? It's good on rebounds, not as good on assists. The Pacers have been a very good defense when it comes to assists. But that said, maybe no Tyrese Halliburton actually makes this a slightly better play, because I know TJ McConnell, as good as he is, the length of Tyrese Halliburton certainly creates a lot of turnovers and prevents a lot of good passing lanes. But it might be a good opportunity to take this if Halliburton is out. But specifically on the road in Indianapolis, the over 10.5 has hit 3 straight times. Interesting that one of those times was 11. This is going to be tight. You're going to be sweating this the entire game. Make sure if you do take this, it's at the 10.5 mark. If you can buy it down to 9.5, I actually think that's, again, a really good play. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot. I'm very big into 2-leg parlays, but buying things down, because I'd rather lessen the risk on 2 things that I'm very confident in than kind of risking at a point where I'm less confident. So taking Drew Holiday over 9.5 rebounds and assists feels like a strong play. When it comes to the rebound mark, he's been consistently hitting 6 rebounds per game. Let's jump on over to his rebound total really quick. It's set at 5.5. He's hit this in 6 of his last 8 games against the Pacers, specifically with Kristaps Porzingis out of the lineup. He's hit it in 3 of his last 4 games against the Pacers. If we look at it in his last 10 games without Kristaps Porzingis, he has hit this in 7 of his last 10 games. And specifically on the road, he's hit this in 4 straight games, 4 straight road games with at least 7 rebounds. This feels like a very strong play. I like this one. One thing I do want to check is when Luke Cornett has been on the floor. I don't know whether Luke Cornett's going to play or not, but I kind of want to see what it's been like when he's been there. Isn't impacting any of the trends significantly. I guess against the Pacers game, he did have a game against the Pacers, game 2, in which Luke Cornett played. He only had three rebounds, so maybe that impacts it a little bit. That may impact it enough, but keep your eye on that one. If Luke Cornett doesn't play, that's going to be the big difference. So if Luke Cornett doesn't play, make sure you take Drew Holiday over 5.5 rebounds. That's going to be the difference for me. Does Luke Cornett play? You may go, why does that matter? Because Luke Cornett just cleans up the board just enough for those 1, 2, 3 rebounds that ultimately will make the difference. Few more picks I wanted to give out for this game. I want to shift on over to steals, and I want to give out TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell, over half a steal, has been a very consistent play. 7 of his last 10 games, specifically at home, he's hit this in 5 straight games. Against the Boston Celtics, he's hit this in 7 of his last 10, 6 of his last 7, And at home against the Celtics, he's hit it in 4 straight games. I'm definitely putting this one up on the board as well. That's TJ McConnell, over half a steal. If you can get it over half a block, over half a steal, obviously I'll take that one as well. But it's probably at 1.5. It opened at half, went up to 1.5. So I just went to the steal because that's really what he's getting. TJ McConnell doesn't record enough blocks. You know who does record blocks? Derek frickin' White. Derek White was voted the most underrated player in the NBA by the players. The players do a poll every year, and Derek White got the most votes. Derek White is the best defensive guard when it comes to blocks. Not the best defensive guard overall. Drew Holiday has a good argument for that. But Derek White is one of the best blockers in the NBA, regardless of position. He has a block in 4 straight games, 6 of his last 7, 7 of his last 10. Against the Pacers specifically, Derek White has a block in 9 of his last 11 games against the Pacers. He actually has a block in 7 straight games against the Pacers. A phenomenal streak that's actually incredibly impressive given the kind of talent he's going against. He has a block in 4 straight games against the Pacers in Indianapolis. This is another one that I really like. Derek White, over half a block. I actually did, if you follow our picks, we put out our picks every single day for free on the SHARPZ app. If you want a free link to that, just DM me on Instagram. I give away my picks for free every single day. They're posted on the SHARPZ app. SHARPZ is like a bulletin board for sports betting. You can see every single pick. That way you always have access to them, never behind a paywall. But that said, I did put together a 2-leg parlay. TJ McConnell, over half a steal. Derek White, over half a block. Those 2 guys have been very consistent on those. So I feel good about a little bit of defense, at least from those 2. But I do tend to favor the over for this game. So again, you may want to look at points. One guy I'm looking at when it comes to points again is Miles Turner, to just kind of round out our player prop bet research for this NBA game. We'll get back to baseball in one moment. Miles Turner's point total is set at 17.5. Forgive me. It opened at 16.5, went up to 17.5. He has not been hitting over 17.5 very consistently. Just 4 out of his last 10 games overall at home. 6 of his last 10, but only 2 of his last 5. Hasn't been a very good trend. Specifically, though, against the Celtics, again, only 2 of his last, 8 games against the Celtics. It has not been a good bet overall. At home against the Celtics, just once over his last 5. The market is not there for Miles Turner over 17.5. If you want to take the over, though, if you're like Miles Turner, there's no Kristaps Porzingis, Luke Cornett may not play, Al Horford for hitting 7 3-pointers in the previous game can't possibly maintain the level of defense to cover Miles Turner for the entirety of the game. If you want to still take Miles Turner, and I do because I believe in the things I just said, I bought this down and I took Miles Turner over 14.5, over 15.5, and I paired it with some other parlays like McConnell, like Derek White, like Jason Tatum, the picks we just gave out, like the over. So a lot of things that you guys can focus on that offer some value. The over 15.5, that's available at minus 194 on FanDuel. It's only available on FanDuel. You'd have to find a good spot for it. I think 15 plus is available on DraftKings. It's available on Caesars. It's available on FanDuel. I think it's available on DraftKings as well as an alt X points kind of thing. But that said, if you put it, again, it has to be in a same game parlay. Can't be on its own as a bet. Has to be in a same game parlay. And this is actually something we've been doing a lot more, is building out these same game parlays with 2, 3, 4 legs. I'm noticing those are very, very popular for you guys. So that's something that I'm doing a little bit more, is trying to put together parlays where you guys can pick and choose maybe 3, 4 of them and decide if you want to put them into a same game parlay. Miles Turner over 14.5, hitting 4 of his last 5 games at home against the Celtics. Overall, it's hitting in 7 of his last 11 games against the Celtics. And again, this is coming off not a good trend if it's at 17.5. You bring that down if we expect him to just get to 15 points. 15 points is the big one. So let's put Miles Turner up on the board. Again, this one's going to be a parlay play. TJ McConnell over half a steal, good on its own. Derek White over half a block, good on its own. But Miles Turner over 14.5 points, that needs to go into a parlay. And what I also would recommend is, again, if I like Jason Tatum over 27.5 points, and I like Miles Turner over 14.5 points, and I like the over, just find ways to kind of piece those together into a few parlays. Something we do like. So we're going to go back to baseball in one quick second, but here's a recap of all the picks that we have on the board so far, okay? Here are the picks we've given out during the show. We've given out one baseball pick because we want to give out the 1 p.m. first pitch start. Orioles on the money line. Orioles on the money line. First pick that we gave out for the show. Then for the NBA game tonight, we like Pacers and Celtics going over 219.5. I think the over 222.5 will still hit. So I'm okay if you guys want to bet that. But I like the 219.5 as a leg of a parlay. You parlay the 219.5 with Celtics on the money line. I do think the Celtics get the sweep. I actually think the Celtics prefer playing on the road. We've also seen that the sheer talent of the Celtics when they play defense is superior. I think they'll play enough defense tonight not to stop the 222.5, not to stop the 219.5, but to get the win over the Pacers. Don't know the status of Tyrese Halliburton yet. Game time decision. I know Drew Holiday is a game time decision. At least he's marked as such. But the fact that he played game 3, I expect him to play as well. Luke Cornett, game time decision as well. Keep your eye on him. I mention it. It's not on our big board for a player prop bet. But if Luke Cornett doesn't play, Drew Holiday over 5.5 rebounds becomes a good play. So it's not on the big board. I'm going to go through the player prop bets that are on the big board now. But Drew Holiday over 5.5 assists is a good play if Luke Cornett doesn't play. Just be mindful of that. Now, the player prop bets that are on the big board so far, Jason Tatum over 27.5 points. I don't like it at the 29.5. Be very, very careful about that one. I don't know if he's going to get to 30 points tonight, but I think he's going to get to 28. It's that tight on that market, so be careful. That's another one. If you're going to do a same game parlay, maybe you buy that down. Jason Tatum 25 plus points, putting that with 2-3 other legs might actually be worth it to you rather than risking him trying to get to the 30-point mark. Another player prop bet we really like, TJ McConnell over half a steal. TJ McConnell over half a steal on its own or in a parlay. Derek White over half a block. Same thing. Could be a leg of a parlay. Could be on its own. Derek White over half a block. Love that. And Miles Turner. This is a leg of a parlay. Miles Turner over 14.5 points. That's another player prop bets that we like. All of our picks are available for free. Just DM me on Instagram. Never behind a paywall, because I never think you guys should be paying for picks. I love talking sports. I love doing sports betting research. So if you guys just love the content and the conversation, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, make sure you're a member of the community, but you never have to pay for our picks. Just DM me on Instagram. Let's get back to some Major League Baseball, everybody. We're going to do some player prop bets around baseball in just a second, but a lot of you guys were talking about the Toronto Blue Jays game. That's the next game that I have loaded up on the 2:10 start. Right now, the Blue Jays are the favorite for good reason, going up against the White Sox. Blue Jays are also favored in the market. 82% of the tickets are on Toronto. 84% of the money is on Toronto. Same goes for the spread. Spread's actually being outpaced by the money, favoring the Blue Jays. 91% of the tickets are on the Blue Jays. 98% of the money is on the Blue Jays. Blue Jays getting a lot of love from the market. So let's see if the market has reason to really believe that's going to play out. We're going back into killersports.com to look at some of the trends. By the way, for those that are curious, how does Ballpark Pal think this game's going to go? They think this is going to be a 6-4 finish in favor of the Toronto Blue Jays. They do think there's going to be a run in the first inning. Kind of interesting there. That's according to ballparkpal.com. Likelihood of home runs is up 17% in this game, so definitely something that we've got our eye on. Let's take a look at how these Blue Jays have performed. They are coming off a brutal game. In their previous game, they're coming off a loss, and they're away favorites today. coming off a loss as an away favorite. They're 4-4 straight up, 4-4 on the run line. Over under is 4-4, but they've won just one of their last 5 games under this scenario. How about when the Blue Jays are coming off a loss and then playing the first game of a series the following day? Want to make sure this is the following day. Actually, good news here. Blue Jays, after a loss, when they start a first game of a series the following day, are 3-1 straight up, 3-1 on the run line. The under is 3-1 as well. I want to see how the White Sox have done under this very same scenario. White Sox coming off a loss, playing first game of a series the following day, 1-6 straight up, 1-6 on the run line. Really love seeing that. So we're now building the argument for Blue Jays on the money line, Blue Jays -1.5. That's actually a pretty good argument to be made there. Let's see if there's even more validity when we look at the starting pitching matchup. The starter for the Blue Jays today is Chris Bassett. So far this season, when he's been on the mound, Blue Jays are just 4-6. Under's been 5-4-1. When he's been pitching on the road this season, 1-3, straight up and on the run line. Wish that were a little bit better. How about when he's pitched as a favorite? 3-2, but not what we want to see. Chris Bassett, in fact, he has not pitched as an away favorite yet this season. Kind of interesting there. When he's pitched against a team with a losing record so far this year, 2-3. The over is 3-1. Kind of interesting note. But not seeing anything that gets me really excited, to be honest. Funny enough, these two pitchers actually faced each other in Toronto in their previous start. Blue Jays won 9-2 in that game. So maybe we're going to take a little bit from that one and think that the Blue Jays know how to hit their Nick Nastrini, starting pitcher. Oof. 0-3 straight up, 0-3 on the run line, 2-1 favoring the over. Guys, we have ourselves a pick. I like Blue Jays on the money line, everybody. Thanks, Retro Dad. Retro Dad, it's great to see you. Haven't seen you in a minute, Retro Dad. Great to have you watching the show. Hope you're doing well wherever you're spending your Memorial Day weekend. We like the Blue Jays on the money line. I'd also be leaning towards Blue Jays -1.5. Everything we've looked at so far, other than Chris Bassett's stats, which does make me a little nervous, all of them are not just favoring the Blue Jays on the money line, but Blue Jays on the run line as well. So the fact that we're getting the -1.5 in favor of the Blue Jays at -120 is interesting to me. The market's favoring the Blue Jays as well at the -120. I'm not against it. I'd go Blue Jays -1.5. I'm feeling a little nervous about it, so maybe you guys don't want to take it, but I'm okay with taking either one of these. Blue Jays money line, Blue Jays -1.5. I feel good about both. The over-under has me perplexed. I lean slightly towards the over just based on what we're seeing from the weather reports. But frankly, I don't have enough confidence in this Blue Jays offense coming off a big scoring performance. In fact, let's look at that really quick. When the Blue Jays score more than, let's say, 7 runs in the previous day's game, wow. I have a bad trend. I just stumbled on a bad trend for our Blue Jays money line pick. Blue Jays, when they score 7 runs in the previous day's game, they are 1-7 straight up and 1-7 on the run line the following day. Wow. That is ugly. That includes a game against the White Sox. Wow. That really stands out. Jose, great to see you. Sometimes when doing this research, it's like stumbling on a landmine where you're just like, oh, damn, that just blew up my thinking. I'm kind of curious about this. How about when the White Sox opponent, this is a weird one, but when the White Sox opponent scores 7 runs in the previous day's game, White Sox are 4-7 straight up, 8-7 on the run line. I'm going to rip off that Blue Jays -1.5. I'm going to stay with my Blue Jays on the money line, but I'm a little bit more nervous now. I still think Blue Jays probably cover the -1.5. You can hear it in my voice. That one stat, though, it just blew everything up. Wow. Okay. DJ, I'm sure we'll be okay. And by the way, guys, always be responsible with your sports bets. Always be mindful of that. But we did stumble upon a bet that isn't favorable for that. I will say Blue Jays. I will take Blue Jays in the first 5 innings. I do like that one, Nick. Someone's asking about Phillies and Giants. We're going to continue to do some more sports betting research. We'll get to Royals in a moment. But let's jump on over to that game. I want to kind of backload this one. Let's go to Phillies and Giants. It's a 5:05 start. Market is favoring the Phillies on the money a little bit more. 80% of the money is on the Phillies to win, only compared to 68% of the tickets. Let's take a look at the Phillies. Phillies, when they're coming off a loss and they're an away favorite so far this year, 7-0 straight up. Wow. 7-0 straight up, 6-1 on the run line. So Phillies have been phenomenal coming off a loss on the road. I want to look at Blake Snell really quickly. Blake Snell as a starter for the San Francisco Giants so far this year. 1-3 straight up, 1-3 on the run line. The over is 4-0. What I actually am curious about when it comes to Blake Snell is how has he done against the Phillies in his career? Against the Phillies in his career, Blake Snell is 2-4 straight up, 2-4 on the run line. He had a start against them last year, had a couple starts against them in 2022. I was just wanting to see if there was any history there. Taijuan Walker is on the mound for the Phillies. How has he pitched so far this season? In his limited action, 4-1 straight up, 3-2 on the run line. Interesting to note, Blake Snell, when Blake Snell has pitched so far this season for the Giants, the over is 5-0. Sorry, the over is 4-0. Taijuan Walker, in his 5 starts this year, the over is 5-0. So Phillies, Giants, the total for that game right now is set at 8.5. Both starting pitchers have pitched nothing but overs so far this year. Just interesting. I'll also note, when the Phillies are coming off a loss and then they're a road favorite, they're actually they've gone over their last 3 games. Again, Phillies are 7-0 on straight up on the money line in their last 7 games when they're coming off a loss as a road favorite. We're going to dive into a few more trends before we put it up on the board, but that's definitely something we're building an argument around right now. How about the Giants? Giants coming off a loss. First game of a series. How have they performed under that scenario? 5-2 straight up, 3-4 on the run line. The under is 1-6, so now we have some discrepancy on that total. How about when they're on 0 days of rest? Rest equals 0. Under is 4-1. Overall 3-2. Run line 2-3. Just going to continue to go through some more stats here because I'm just curious on curious. How have the Phillies done against left-handed pitching so far this year? When the Phillies face a left-handed starter this year, 13-9 straight up. The over's 11-9. How about when they're on the road against a left-handed starter, 6-5 straight up, 4-7 on the run line. Over slightly better at 6-4-1. When they're an away favorite against a left-handed starter, 5-4. I'm also curious about this. When they've been an away favorite, but the line has been less than -120, line for this game is -110. No, I knew what I wanted. The line needs to be -120. Phillies this year, when they've had a line of -120, but they've been a road favorite, 4-0 straight up, 4-0 on the run line. It's actually a really good trend. Under's been 3-1. It's actually a really good indication of some things. I'm going to take the Phillies on the money line. I know I'm being very chalky right now. Orioles money line, Blue Jays money line, Phillies money line. I know I'm chalk city, but that's what the trends are pointing out. We're pretty chalky too, given that we like the Celtics on the money line. This might be a chalk Monday for all of you folks out there. Appreciate you guys no matter where you're watching. TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick. Hope you're having a great day. Let's jump on over to some player prop bets for baseball, everybody. A few folks were asking about that. We're going to start with this Red Sox and Orioles game since first pitch is a little bit over an hour from now. Cole Irvin, who's hit him well in his career, Rafi Devers is 3 for 10 lifetime, no home runs, no RBIs, kind of interesting there. Jared Duran is 2 for 3 lifetime against Cole Irvin. Let's take a look at Duran. For Duran, I want to see hits, runs, RBIs. That's the one I'm actually kind of interested in. Over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs is available at minus 119, minus 150, minus 155 across Prize Picks, DraftKings, BetMGM, and Underdog. Jared Duran has gone over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 9 of his last 10 games overall against left-handed pitching. He's actually only hit it, though, in 4 of his last 10. Not nearly as consistent as we would like to see. So going to avoid that. Rob Refsnyder. Rob Refsnyder, interestingly enough, he's okay against Cole Irvin, but Rob Refsnyder is a very good over half a hit play if it's available. He hits left-handed pitching very well, but unfortunately it's set at 1.5. Those bastards. Those bastards at the sports books. You can get Rob Refsnyder over half a hit on FanDuel at minus 280. If you're looking for a same-game parlay, Rob Refsnyder over half a hit. He hits left-handed pitching so well in his career, hitting against left-handed pitching 310 so far this year. Connor Wong is hitting 378 against left-handed pitching. Can we get him over half a hit? Yes, we can. Interesting there. He has a hit in 8 of his last 10 games against left-handed pitching, 6 of his last 10. On the road against left-handed pitching, 5 of his last 10, but really 5 of his last 7. Has he ever faced? He's 1 for 2 lifetime against Cole Irvin, does have an RBI. Connor Wong is the catcher of the Red Sox. Keep your eye on him. If there were 2 hitters I like in the Red Sox lineup to get a hit, maybe put him into a same-game parlay. Rob Refsnyder, outfielder for the Red Sox, or utility player, and Connor Wong, catcher for the Red Sox. Let's go on to the Orioles side of things. We like the Orioles to win this game, so it figures we would like them in some offense. They haven't faced this starting pitcher yet this year, but against right-handed pitching, Jordan Westburg is hitting 303. Ryan O'Hearn hitting 294. That average has come down over the last few weeks. He was torching right-handed pitching there for a time. Let's take a look if there is anybody of value. I'm assuming Jordan Westburg. Yeah, his is 1.5. Can we get 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs? We can. He's hit this in 3 straight games against right-handed pitching. He's only hit it in 4 of his last 10. Don't love that. I'm looking for over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs right now for the Orioles. I'd like to see Adley Rutschman. Adley Rutschman against right-handed pitching. Hits, runs, RBIs. He's hit it in 3 of his last 4 games. 5 of his last 10. Not seeing the kind of bets I'd like to make in this Orioles game. Here's one for you. I kind of like Ryan O'Hearn over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Ryan O'Hearn's got over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 6 of his last 10 games against right-handed pitching. 6 of his last teams. Right-handed pitching at home. 6 of his last 10. 3 games in a row. I like this one a little bit more. Against the Red Sox in his career, not as good. You'd like to see it a little bit better against the Red Sox. Does have it in 3 straight games, but those came largely... Oh, no, those came against... It's just those weren't at home. Those were on the road. But that said, Ryan O'Hearn over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Not a bad play. Shrek, I took Orioles on the money line. I could see the Red Sox covering a plus 1.5. But personally, I like the Orioles on the money line based on the starting pitching matchup. Cole Irvin getting my support there. Toronto Blue Jays, we like them for today's game. Let's see if there are any player prop bets we like for this. Nick Nastrani obviously faced this lineup not too long ago, his last start. Bo Bichette hit him well, 2 for 3, included a home run against right-handed pitching. Bo Bichette's really picked up his average. He's now hitting 282. Bo Bichette really starting to pull his season around. Over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs is available, but only on Prize Picks. Right now, he's been pretty hot. He's actually gone over 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 4 of his last 7 games. He's been scorching. I don't know if I'd go with it, but interesting that he's been hitting that well. Vlad Guerrero Jr., he might be a good bet for over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs as well. But frankly, the market today is just not great in terms of these bets because the market's set too high. There are too many over 1.5 hit runs. There are too many over 1.5 hits being placed. There are too many over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. There just aren't a lot of good, easier bets to make right now on the player prop bet market. One of the reasons I may tend to avoid some of these games in that regard. Twins, Royals, someone was asking about that. Does anyone hit Joe Ryan particularly well? Garcia, but nothing I really like. Alec Marsh pitched very well. Julian, no, don't like that. Kirilloff, no, don't like that. Nothing in Twins and Royals. Just doing a quick scan through these games, and then we'll get to some more game picks. Freddie Freeman, love Freddie Freeman's stats. Freddie Freeman over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Can we get that right now? Let's see if over half a hit for Freddie Freeman's available. Probably not. Freddie Freeman over half a hit is available. Wow. He has crushed Tyler McGill. He's had a 455 average lifetime with 11 at-bats. Phenomenal stats. He's raking against right-handed pitching. I take Freddie Freeman. Let's put this on the board. Freddie Freeman. Oops. Freddie Freeman over half a hit. I'd also take Freddie Freeman. This would be a parlay play, by the way. I'd also take Freddie Freeman over 1.5 hits, plus runs, plus RBIs. Good numbers against right-handed pitching in his last few. He's 6 of his last 10 games, but really 6 of his last 8, he's got a hit. Over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Hasn't been as consistent, but against right-handed pitching, a little bit better. On the road against right-handed pitching, much better. I like that one. Over 1.5 bases. I think I like that Arctic Tiger. I think so. I'm not sure I'm crazy about it. I think I prefer the over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. That feels like a better play. But obviously an RBI double or a home run, and we're both eating. Let's look at Cubs and Brewers really quick. Again, I'm just going to do a quick scan through if there are any player prop bets. We'll get to game picks in just a moment. Patrick Wisdom, keep your eye on him. He rakes against left-handed pitching. Cody Bellinger is hitting left-handed pitching well as well. Okay. Cody Bellinger, over half a hit, is available against left-handed pitching. He has a hit in 7 of his last 10 games, 6 of his last 7. Head-to-head against the Brewers, he has a hit in 3 straight games against Brewers left-handed starters. Against any kind of starter, he has a hit in 7 of his last 9 games. Cody Bellinger, over half a hit. I'm going to put that one on the board as well. Cody Bellinger, over half a hit. Again, might be a parlay play for you folks out there, but definitely something I've got my eye on. We'll cover a game pick for that Cubs game in just a little bit. Flipping it over, how have the Brewers done against Justin Steele? Christian Yelich hits him well. Christian Yelich hits left-handed pitching well. Christian Yelich, over half a hit, is available against left-handed pitching in his last 10 games. 6 of his last 10 he has a hit. How about at home? 7 of his last 10. How about against the Chicago Cubs? Christian Yelich, this is the trend of the day, everybody. Christian Yelich is the trend of the day. Christian Yelich has a hit in 11 straight games against the Chicago Cubs. This is the trend of the day. Christian Yelich has a hit in 11 straight games against the Cubs. I did not know it. Glad I saw it. Over half a hit is a must play. Over half a hit, I'm putting into parlays, I'm putting into same game parlays, all that. But over half a hit, that's available at actually a decent market for a hit bet. It's minus 230 on DraftKings, minus 225 on BetMGM, minus 224 on Caesars, minus 220 on FanDuel, and minus 119 on Prize Picks. Christian Yelich, over half a hit. Eat your frickin' heart out. 11 straight games with a hit. specifically at home, 6 straight games with a hit, specifically against left-handed starting pitching for the Cubs, 5 straight games. Christian Yelich, over half a hit. How about over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs? 8 of his last 12 games against the Cubs, against left-handed pitching, 3 of his last 5. How about against the Cubs at home? 5 of his last 6. So Christian Yelich might be one of our favorite players of the day. Over half a hit for sure, but over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs might not be a bad play as well. Let's flip it over to the Cubs side of things. We talked about the Cubs. Forgive me. We looked at Patrick Wisdom. We looked at Cody Bellinger. Forgive me. Let's go to the next game. Doing a quick scan. Guardians and Rockies. Austin Gomber. Jose Ramirez rakes against him. Jose Ramirez has phenomenal numbers for this scenario. Jose Ramirez is going to be one of our favorite players of the day. Can't get him on over half a hit. It's got to be 1.5 head-to-head against the Rockies. I don't know. If I can get over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, I can't get over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Wow, Jose Ramirez has gone over 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 6 out of his last 10 games. On the road, 5 of his last 10. Not bad, actually. Against left-handed pitching, 6 of his last 10. Jose Ramirez rakes against this pitcher, Jose. I know you like him. Jose Ramirez, over 1. I'll take the over 2.5. I don't love it. I'll take it on its own, though. Over 2.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. I know it's not a great bet in terms of the 2.5 versus the 1.5. Don't put it into parlays, but take it on its own. I kind of like it. We're having some fun. Let's flip it on over. Xavier Curry. Oh, man, he is dominated. I don't like the Rockies lineup at all. I think we're going to be we're going to be betting on the Guardians today, folks. Nationals and Braves. Devastating news. Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, that's just a killer. That's a killer. I don't know how they're going to bounce back, to be honest with you. That is a brutal loss for them. Looking at the bets for today's game, Jose Meneses is a player I have my eye on for the Nationals. For the Braves, Marcell Ozuna is someone I have my eye on. Let's see if Marcell Ozuna is available at a good spot. Marcell Ozuna. It's what I would take Marcell Ozuna. Nope. No good spots for Marcell Ozuna, and he is going to be the one who has to pick up the slack. He and Matt Olson, they're going to be responsible for picking up that Braves offense. Cardinals and Reds, as we continue to kind of make our way through player prop bets again. We'll get back to game picks in just a bit. Paul Goldschmidt, kind of an interesting play, has hit well against this starting pitcher. By the way, Mason Wynn of the Cardinals has a hit in 10 straight games. He has a hit in 15 straight games. Over half a hit is available for you guys. That's Mason Wynn. Mason Wynn has a phenomenal hitting streak right now. How has Mason Wynn done against the starting pitcher? Hasn't faced him in his career. Against left-handed pitching, though, hitting 280. He does have a hit in 7 straight games. Mason Wynn. M-A-S-Y-N-W-I-N-N. Mason Wynn. Keep your eye on him for a hit today. I was looking at Paul Goldschmidt. He was the one I had my eye on. Just seeing what Paul Goldschmidt is available at. Over half a hit is what I'm interested in. He has a hit in 9 of his last 10 games. He's really turned it around. Against left-handed pitching, not great. 5 of his last 10. How about on the road against left-handed pitching? 7 of his last 10. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take Paul Goldschmidt over half a hit. Next pick we're putting on the board. Flip it over to the red side of things against Lance Lynn. Jake Fraley hits him very well. Jake Fraley hitting 273 against righties so far this year. I like Jake Fraley. Good numbers against the starting pitcher. Jake Fraley over half a hit. Is that available? It is, but it's not a great trend. I'm not going to take this one. I like the Goldschmidt play more, and the Mason Wynn play might be even better. Phillies, Giants, let's take a look at that game. We're making our way through these game picks. JT Realmuto. JT Realmuto is another player we love today. JT Realmuto is on the same level as Christian Yelich against Blake Snell. He's hitting 400 lifetime, 4 hits and 10 at-bats, including a home run, 3 RBIs. He's also hitting .382 against left-handed pitching this year. He has a hit in 10 straight games against lefties. In fact, over his last 20 games, he has a hit in 17 of his last 20 games against the left-handed starter. Against the left-handed starter on the road, 15 of his last 20. JT Realmuto, everybody. JT Realmuto is another one of those players you cannot miss on for today's games. Christian Yelich, JT Realmuto, over half a hit for both of those guys. Put it into a parlay and set it and forget it. Freddie Freeman, Cody Bellinger, and Freddie Freeman, Christian Yelich, JT Realmuto. I put all 3 of those guys into a parlay for over half a hit if you can get it. Great plays. Great plays. Let's take a look at it from the Giants side of things. Whit Merrifield also hits this starting pitcher well, but doesn't hit lefties well this year. Against Taiwan Walker, Thayer Estrada hits Walker well. He's not hitting righties well enough, though, so JT Realmuto is going to be our play from this game. Making our way to the Marlins and the Padres. Marlins and Padres. Someone was asking about Brian De La Cruz. Brian De La Cruz is not hitting right-handed pitching that well so far this year. Against right-handed pitching, he has a hit in 6 of his last 10 games. On the road specifically, though, 9 of his last 10. There's a good find. He does have a hit in 9 of his last 10 games against a right-handed starter. Head-to-head against the Padres, though, not great. 2 of his last 3, it's okay. I like the Brian De La Cruz a whole lot more. Who did you say for the Phillies? JT Realmuto. JT Realmuto. Your Brian De La Cruz play, I'll endorse it. I'm not going to put it on the board, but I would endorse it. From the Padres, though, I kind of like the Manny Machado, I think. No, not enough. Shit numbers against lefties, as it turns out. I don't actually like this game that much. I should like it more. I thought I'd like Manny Machado. Manny Machado against left-handed starters, though. Just 4 hits in his last 10 games. 3 hits in his last 10 at home. Nah. Brian De La Cruz is actually he's one of the better bets for this game. We're going to finish out the player prop bets. Well, by the way, we're going to go back to game picks in just one moment. Astros, Mariners, finishing it out against Bryce Miller. Jose Altuve hits Bryce Miller very well. Jose Altuve, over half a hit, is available. Adding it to the picks. Jose Altuve against right-handed pitching on the road. 8 of his last 10. Jose Altuve over half a hit. Another player we're putting up on the big board. So really quick, I'm actually going to go back through these to make sure I've added all of them. We're taking Freddie Freeman over half a hit. We're taking Cody Bellinger over half a hit. We're taking Christian Yelich over half a hit. That's the one we really like. We're taking Jose Ramirez over 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs. We're taking Paul Goldschmidt over half a hit. We're taking JT Realmuto over half a hit. And we're taking Jose Altuve over half a hit. Some MLB game picks that we've got up on the board so far. Orioles on the money line. Orioles on the money line. Blue Jays on the money line. Blue Jays on the money line. And Phillies on the money line. So Orioles money line, Blue Jays money line, Phillies money line. For the NBA, we have Celtics and Pacers going over 219.5. We have that in a 2-leg parlay with Celtics on the money line. Cincinnati, Mason Wynn, I didn't put it on the big board, but Mason Wynn we do like a lot. Yep. Boston and Baltimore, what do I think on the runs? Under 10.5. My only concern is the weather's favoring the over, so we didn't actually bet the total because, John, the weather's favoring some offense, so that 10.5 could get a little dicey. The only concern is there's going to be some rain in that area, so, John, I don't know. I'd actually rather take the over 7.5 than the under 10.5. Hope you caught that. I'd rather take the over 7.5 than the under 10.5. Completing out the picks we have on the board, we have Jason Tatum over 27.5 points. We have TJ McConnell over half a steal. We have Derek White over half a block. And we have Miles Turner over 14.5 points. Let's get to our next game pick for MLB. We're going to go Royals and Twins, everybody. Royals and Twins is going to be the next game that we focus on. Royals are coming off a win yesterday, forgive me. They are coming off a win. They're an away favorite today. Hold on a second. Royals are coming off a loss, forgive me. Royals, after a loss, have actually won 6 of their last 7 games after a loss, regardless of location. When they're coming off a loss and playing on the road, they're 6-2 straight up, 7-1 on the run line. The Royals have actually been one of the best teams at responding after a loss in Major League Baseball. If you bet $100 every time so far this year that the Royals, after a loss on the road, won the game, you'd be up $535. If you took them on the run line, $595. Interesting note there. Let's flip it around. Let's take a look at the Twins side of things. When the Twins play an opponent who's coming off a loss in their previous game, Twins are 17-11 in that scenario. When that's the case and the Twins are at home, Twins are 9-6. Just kind of an interesting note. How about when it's the first game of a series? 3-2 straight up, 2-3 on the run line, 1-4 favoring the under. How about when it's the first game of the series for the Royals on the road after a loss, 1-1 on the run line, or 1-1 straight up, 2-0 on the run line, 1-1 on the over under. How about after a loss, first game of a series regardless of location? Royals are 5-2 straight up, 5-2 on the run line. What's standing out to me right now is Royals plus 1.5. The market's reflecting that. Right now, the market loves the Royals to win and the Royals to cover. Right now, Royals are getting 58% of the money to win. Royals are getting 59% of the money to cover the spread. Both the market is favoring the spread and the money line for the Royals. I'm going to take Royals plus 1.5. Royals plus 1.5 is the bet I'm going to go with. That's the pick we're going to put up on the board right now. Really quick, we've been having some fun with this one throughout the show, so I'm going to continue to do it. How have the Royals done on Mondays so far this season? 3-4 straight up, 3-4 on the run line, 4-3 favoring the over. How have the Twins done on Mondays so far this year? 3-3 straight up, 2-4 on the run line. How have the Twins done as a home favorite so far this year against divisional opponents? Twins are 5-4 straight up, 3-6 on the run line against divisional opponents as a home favorite. How about at home against division opponents, regardless, same thing. How about home? Let's go with home. First game of a series, no days of rest. Rest is 0 for the Twins. 5-4. The only thing I'm kind of looking up to see if there's any other value is I lean slightly, I think, towards the under. I think the under in the Twins and Royals game might be a slightly better play, but I'm not going to bet it. I do like Royals plus 1.5. I also think that money line could be a good play as well. Let's go to Dodgers and Mets, everybody. Dodgers and Mets. Obviously, the Dodgers have a 5-game losing streak right now. Unbelievable. How have the Dodgers done on Monday so far this year? 6-1 straight up, 6-1 on the run line, 6-1 on the over. So if you have any concerns about the Dodgers, today is a day to take the Dodgers. They are great on Mondays. How have the Mets been on Mondays so far this year? 3-5 straight up, 3-5 on the run line. If you don't care about days of the week and you actually care about other stats, how have the Dodgers done when they have lost the previous day's game? They're on the road and they're starting a series, very scenario they have today. 3-1 straight up, 3-1 on the run line. How about the Mets? Mets are coming off a win yesterday. They're at home. They're starting a series. How have they done under that scenario? 2-4 straight up, 2-4 on the run line. I'm taking Dodgers on the money line. Look, you guys may not want to tail me at this point. Dodgers, I've been feeling like the Dodgers are going to break out of this snap for a couple of days now, and it's been a bad one. But I think Dodgers on the money line is going to happen. By the way, Chef, I totally agree with you. We actually have Christian Yelich as our favorite player prop of the day, our favorite trend of the day. He has a hit in 11 of his last 12 games against the Cubs. Love Christian Yelich. If I could get on top of the Empire State Building with the ultimate megaphone, Christian Mofo Yelich. Christian Yelich. That's who we love today. Let's go to that Cubs and Brewers game. Right now, Brewers getting a lot of love from the market. How do we feel about it? Cubs, Brewers. One bad note for the Brewers. You want a random bad note for the Brewers? Here's a bad trend for you. The Brewers are 0-7 on Mondays. Brewers are 0-7 on Mondays straight up. 1-6 on Mondays on the run line. So Mondays, somebody's not a fan of the Mondays, and it's the Milwaukee Brewers. Bizarre trend, but a trend nonetheless. How have the Cubs done when they are coming off a win and they're on the road? Did they win yesterday? Forgive me, I didn't stand for that game. They lost yesterday against the Cardinals. Good. Okay, coming off a loss, Cubs on the road off a loss. The under is a phenomenal play. 10-4-1 favoring the under for that Cubs game. So under's been very good. Cubs are 9-6 straight up, 9-6 on the run line, off a loss on the road. How about when it's the first game of a series under that scenario? 2-2 across the board. Let's look at the Brewers. Brewers, first game of a series on 0 days of rest. How about that? Brewers are 2-7 straight up under that scenario. Yikes. How about when the Brewers face a left-handed starter so far this year? Brewers are 5-5 against the left-handed opposing pitcher. How about when they're at home against the left-handed pitcher? 2-1 straight up, 2-1 on the run line, 3-0 to the over. How about when the Brewers are coming off a win at home? Oh, they lost yesterday. Brewers off a loss. Yeah, they lost to the Red Sox. Brewers off a loss at home. 3-8 on the run line. A lot of reasons to not love the Brewers right now. A lot of reasons to not love the Brewers. Yeah, I'm not going to touch this game. The market's favoring the Brewers. That tells me that there's something to that. But right now, I don't love it enough. Really quick, here's a recap of the picks that we put up on the board. Orioles on the money line. Blue Jays on the money line. Phillies on the money line. Royals plus 1.5. And Dodgers on the money line. Next game that we're going to touch on really quick is the Guardians and the Rockies. Guardians and the Rockies. Markets favoring the Guardians. Not surprising there. How have the Guardians been on Mondays so far this year? Guardians on Mondays are 5-1 straight up, 4-2 on the run line. The under's 5-1. Rockies on Mondays so far this year, 2-3 straight up, 3-2 on the run line. Under is 3-2. Guardians. Are coming off a win. Guardians coming off a win have a phenomenal winning streak regardless of location. The Guardians have won 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. They've won 8 of their last 9 games off a loss regardless of location. When the Guardians when they're coming off a win. When they're coming off a win on the road, 12-7, but they've won 5 of their last 6 games. How about when they're coming off a win on the road, first game of a series, 4-2 straight up, 3-2 on the run line. The under is 5-2. Under's been a better play under this scenario. How have the Guardians done against the left-handed starting pitcher so far this year? 10-2 straight up. Guardians are 10-2 straight up against left-handed starting pitcher. Only pitchers they've lost against, Chris Sale and Garrett Crochet. Both of those losses did come on the road, though. So they're 5-2 against left-handed pitching on the road. Over is 5-1. Should be even higher. Should be 6-1, actually. I like the Guardians on the money line, but let's look at the Rockies side of things. Rockies are coming off a win at home against the Phillies. When they're at home after a win, they're 3-5. How about when they're coming off a win and then start a series the next game? 2-2. It's only happened 4 times. Rockies against a right-handed starting pitcher this year. 13-27 against a right-handed starting pitcher at home. 8-8 straight up. Interesting that they're 500 at home against a right-handed starter. How about when they won the previous game? Probably nothing. 2-4. I'm going to take Guardians on the money line. Feels like the smart play. Guardians on the money line. Just love the fact that they're in the scenario that they're in. Yeah, the fact they worn out left-handed pitching, you got that right. Weather for that game is favoring the over as normally it would in Colorado. So the weather favoring the over. Looks like over 10 is a good play. Over 10 is a good play. Yes to a run in the first inning. Another game that's got a good yes to a run in the first inning probability is Cardinals and Reds. Cardinals and Reds, yes to a run in the first inning. Really good probability on this one, 55.7% according to ballparkpal.com. Cardinals on Mondays, 5-2, 5-2. The Reds on Mondays, 3-3, 4-2. Cardinals. When the Cardinals are coming off a win in the previous game and then they're on the road, first game of a series. So after a win on the road, first game of a series, Cardinals are 2-0 straight up, 2-0 on the run line. How about after a win, first game of a series, regardless of location, 3-0 straight up, 2-1 on the run line. Cardinals getting a little bit of love here. How about the Reds? Let's take a look at the Reds. They are coming off a win. They're actually coming off back-to-back. They've got a nice winning streak going, actually. Reds, I don't think they have 3 straight wins so far this year. Oh, or maybe I typed this wrong. The Reds, on a 3-game winning streak, the Reds are 0-2 straight up, 0-2 on the run line. The Reds do not have a 4-game winning streak so far this year. Very interesting when they have back-to-back wins and they're at home so far this year. 2-2, 0-4, favoring the under. Kind of interesting on that note. I'm not going to put too much stock into that. But on back-to-back wins when they're a favorite, 2-1, 2-1 on the run line. Opponent winning percentage is greater than 50. Does that work? Is that right? No, I think that's wrong. I'm going to do it this way. Is it opponent average winning percentage greater than 500? I'm screwing it up. Oh, there it is. But the Cardinals are sub 500, aren't they? When the Reds are coming off a win and facing a sub 500 team, not only are they 5-10, they've lost their last 5 games in this scenario. I understand the market is favoring the Reds, but there is something telling me that actually there's value in taking the Cardinals to cover the plus 1.5. We're going to do one quick other look. How has Lance Lynn done against the Reds in his career? Lance Lynn, when he has faced the Reds in his career, 14-5 straight up, 15-9 on the run line. He's won 5 of his last 6 starts against them. When he's on the road against the Reds, 6-4, 7-3 on the run line. How about Nick Lodolo? He's the starting pitcher for the Reds. How has he done against the Cardinals in his career? Nick Lodolo against the Cardinals in his career, 1-1. Win came at home, loss came on the road. How has Nick Lodolo done just so far this season? 4-2, 4-2. Lost his last two, under a better play at 4-2. Lance Lynn so far this year, 5-5, 5-5. Lost 4 of his last 5. All right. Someone tells me Cardinals could cover this spread, but Cardinals plus 1.5. I think there's some value. In fact, the market's showing Cardinals on the money line. There's value to that, guys. I think there's value there. I'll take Cardinals plus 1.5. Keep your eye on that one, guys. Cardinals plus 1.5. I'm not putting it on the board, but boy, does it have my attention. I kind of like it. I really want to bet it, but I'm not going to. Cardinals on the money line. Let's go. Let's do a random jump. We're going to jump over to the NHL. Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers. Let's see if killersports.com isn't being a bitch. Let's see if we can pull up our trends for the NHL. A couple of you guys were asking about that. Want to make sure I don't completely ignore the NHL because you guys care about the NHL and I do too, but we've had some trouble with the websites of late using it, so let's make sure. Let's see, when the Oilers are coming off a loss in the previous game, how have they done so far this year? They are 19-18, but they've actually won their last 5 straight games coming off a loss. How about when they are coming off a loss and they are at home the next game? They've won their last, they've actually won 7 of their last 8 games coming off a loss at home. Struggled earlier in the year, October, November. If we actually date this, not by the point in the season, the entire season as a whole, but if we say since the start of 2024, they are 8-3 straight up at home after a loss, the scenario that they have tonight. And in fact, when the total has been less than 6.5, they're 3-1 in that scenario. Let's flip it around. Let's take a quick look at the Dallas Stars. Stars are coming off a win. They're at home. They're on the road, rather. Total less than 6.5. They are 6-4 in that scenario. Under's been a very strong play at 6-3-1. What was it before? 2-1, 6-3-1. No understanding of the market for this game in terms of which side we like more. Stars off a win as an away dog so far this year. Wow. Only happened 3 times this year. 1-2 so far. 1-2. Okay, when they've gone back to when they lost 2 games ago and then they won and they're on the road. Again, we're just playing out different scenarios that they have for today's game. 2-1. I'm not seeing anything that gets me going for this game. Right now, if I were to take anything, I think there's probably value in taking the Stars on the plus 1.5. Oilers on that scenario. Off a loss, off a win. The under's looking good. Take the under 6.5. Take the under 6.5. Under 6.5 at minus 162. That's the play. Oilers, Stars, under 6.5. Yeah. I think that's a strong one. I think Oilers win. I think Stars cover. I think the under 6.5 hits. Okay. Let's do a quick recap of all the picks we put up on the board so far during the show. Appreciate you guys watching no matter where you guys are. Instagram Live, TikTok Live, YouTube, Twitch, Kick. Appreciate you guys being with us on this Memorial Day. We have been live for over an hour and a half, talking sports, sports betting, doing our research. Here are the picks we've got up on the board so far. Reminder before we give them out, if you want all of my picks every single day, the ones we've given out on the board as well as ones that aren't on the board, every pick, every day, every one that I make is available to you guys for free. All you have to do is DM me on Instagram, ButtFumbleSports. I don't need your money. I appreciate you guys contributing to the channel. Obviously, I'm grateful for gifts on TikTok or elsewhere, but I will never, ever, ever charge you for a pick. Make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you're always with us when we go live, but I never charge for my picks, so DM me on Instagram. You can get every bet that I make every single day for free. All you got to do is DM ButtFumbleSports on Instagram. That's ButtFumbleSports. DM me on Instagram, give away my picks for free. Here are all the picks that we've put up on the board during the show. You guys ready? You set? Let's go through it. We've got Orioles on the money line. Blue Jays on the money line, Phillies on the money line, Royals plus 1.5, Dodgers on the money line, and Guardians on the money line. Timothy, great call. Let's hear it again. Timothy's done a good job of putting those up there, but let's recap it right now. We have Orioles on the money line, Blue Jays on the money line, Phillies on the money line, Royals plus 1.5, Dodgers on the money line, and Guardians on the money line. For player prop bets, we also have Freddie Freeman over half a hit for a parlay, and Freddie Freeman over 1.5 hits runs RBIs. We have Cody Bellinger over half a hit for a parlay. We have Christian Yelich over half a hit. That's one of our favorite bets of the day. We have Jose Ramirez over 2.5 hits runs and RBIs. That's on its own. We have Paul Goldschmidt over half a hit. JT Realmuto over half a hit, another one of our favorites. And Jose Altuve over half a hit. For the NBA, we have Celtics and Pacers over 219.5. We have Celtics on the money line. I put those into a 2-leg parlay. Our player prop bets for the NBA are Jason Tatum over 27.5 points. TJ McConnell over half a steal, Derek White over half a block, and Miles Turner over 14.5 points. If you missed any of the picks we just gave out, no worries, DM me on Instagram. ButtFumbleSports, DM me on Instagram to get every bet that I make every day for free. They're always free every day. They're based on trends, data, analytics, matchups, officiating, weather, whatever information and data we can get our hands on. That's what we put together, put into our parlays or put into our picks. So again, these aren't my favorite teams or my favorite players or what I think's going to happen. It's not even what I think's going to happen. It really is about what the data is telling us. If the data is providing some kind of directional incentive to go and chase a certain bet a certain way. Those are all the picks we've given out. We are going to wrap up our show right now so we can place all these bets and share them all with you on the SHARPZ app. So DM me right now. ButtFumbleSports, DM me on Instagram to get every bet that I make every single day for free. I hope you do hit the follow button if you're watching the show on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Hit the follow button. We'll be live again tomorrow. We'll be live again the next day. We're live almost every single day. So make sure you follow, and that way you're with us every day, because this is what we do. We research sports bets. We research player prop bets. We talk fantasy sports. We obviously talk about what's going on in the sports world. So make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe, and that way you never miss a time when we go live. I am so grateful to every single one of you guys for watching the show, taking time out of your day, your long weekend to watch our content. It is the absolute honor of a lifetime to be able to watch, to entertain you guys, and hopefully give you guys some good information to inform your sports bets and bring a little extra entertainment for your sports day. Before we wrap up, I want to end right where we started. We live in an amazing world. We live in an amazing country. And the reason for both of those things is because there are legitimate heroes that have lived on this planet. They don't fly. They don't have super strength. They don't have lasers shooting out of their eyes. But we absolutely have heroes that have lived in this country and have served this country and have brought us the kind of peace, love, and joy that we couldn't even imagine if it weren't for them. Now, so many of these heroes have perished in serving us and protecting our country. For all of those that have sacrificed the ultimate and gave their life to us, to this country, we are eternally grateful. There is nothing we could possibly say that could overcome the massive amount of giving and sacrifice that you've done for us. So to all of those that have served, all of those that lost their life, and finally, to every family member, to every Gold Star family, to everyone who has ever had a family member who put on the uniform for this country and did the ultimate, gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we could live so free and live in such a great world. We are so, so grateful. So on this Memorial Day, do something good. Give a donation to a local charity. Go serve at a local VA. Go do something. Go volunteer. Go serve. Go do something. You can serve food. You can clean up. You literally can do anything. They are grateful for it. I'm going to go do some work myself. So if you guys want to do a good thing, give a little bit of money. Go help a veteran. Just go say thank you to someone. There are more veterans than you know around you. The only way that you know who they are is to ask. And by the way, saying thank you for your service is one thing, but always ask where they served and how they served. These are people who are proud of what they did, and they should feel proud of what they did because without it, we wouldn't be the country we are. That's my soapbox spiel. I appreciate you guys watching the show. I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day, and I hope you guys enjoy your sports day. Until tomorrow, have a good one. Goodbye, everybody.